Hello, this is Zach Diamond. I wanted to share my Makerspace project, or my plan for what my project, for what the Makerspace would be um, when I do have a chance to implement it. So we'll go ahead and get started. What I thought I'd focus my Makerspace around is coding. As it seems to be one of those things that there's a lot of interest for. A lot of people are going into engineering, uh, computer science. It's a very hot field right now, and a lot of parents are very interested in getting their kids involved with that sort of thing. And not to mention, it's also just a very good topic to get into because it touches on other fields and different types of ways of thinking, um, such as like DNA and RNA, and how that codes in our genetic makeup and things like that, and just problem solving. So here are my goals for the Makerspace. Okay, I want to create an environment with both digital and non-digital experiences, allow students to learn the basic concepts behind creating code and developing further interest, and give students opportunities to create works that they can share and take home. Well, that's one of the major ones there, is I want them to be able to take it home and be excited about it and share it with their parents and get other people excited about it. Because it's another sneaky way of being marketable. I would think, and be like, hey, this is what the library is offering. Isn't that cool? 5 major benefits. Okay, 5 major benefits from what I've read for makerspaces include they utilize advancements in thinking and doing. So it's not just passive learning. It's not just active learning. You actually have to put it together all in one, and it makes it much more memorable. Allows learners to take command of their own learning. They're not just following instructions. They're tinkering. They're creating. They're experimenting. They expand and extend connections. They can introduce new interests. And that's what I feel libraries are. I think that's the main goal of all librarians should be, is to introduce new things and new interests that kids might not know about unless they're exposed to it. And the library is a great way to do that, especially through makerspaces. And then they can also connect to current, past, and future curriculum. So we could pull them out for, say, they're talking about DNA and RNA and mRNA in biology. This could extend to that. Obviously, this is mostly for an elementary audience, but I'm sure I could adapt this makerspace to older age groups. So, activities and experiences. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Using the UTEC model, okay, I wanted to make sure that they had both hands-on and digital experiences. So I would use sites like code.org, Codo, Codatomy, and they would use these for mostly independent learning when they don't need to be guided. Now, I could start a club to complement this makerspace, which I would think would be great for an after-school thing. And then this would be part of the extension activities. They can create their own coding games after they've used, tinkered, experimented, and created in the makerspace hands-on activities. 3 more ideas to remember that I thought were interesting as I read was always consider the cleanup. I don't want to have to constantly hover over these children to make sure little pieces and things are getting lost and the activities are not able to be done in the future by other groups because they're lost. So it needs to be something that's easy to clean up and easy to manage. Number 2, make it connect to something. It could connect to the curriculum, or it could connect to something real life outside, but I would prefer that anything that they do in a makerspace has some sort of bigger connection. But then again, number 3, it could be a standalone experience, just something fun. It doesn't have to be anything heavy. So when I'm looking at the UTEC model, students will use the materials, both hands-on and digital resources, as a way to introduce the topic of coding. Then they're going to be tinkering. Students will be allowed to explore the space without instruction or guidance at certain stations. So things like the coding caterpillars on the rug. When we get to the spacing, you'll see the rug that I want them to use. They'll be able to put things together and see how those toys move in response to their input. And they can map out certain things and have the robots move as they want. And there will be board games and things, and there will be a set of 5 tables with different activities on them. So there won't all just be one thing. So they can tinker around with certain things. And then experimenting. Okay, and when they experiment with it, at certain stations, students will have a chance to troubleshoot specific problems. So I might have some laminated sheets on the table saying, hey, this set of instruction, or this person needs to get to his house, and he has to avoid the crater in the middle of the map. How can you get him across the map without falling into the crater? Something like that. They'll have binary bracelets they can make, hands-on, and then they have those coding caterpillars, which are really interesting. Those would be mainly for the kindergartners and first graders, but still a very good activity. And then we've got the creating. And then students, after they've had the chance to go through the guided hands-on things, they can go on to icode.org or code.org or Codo, and they can make games, save them, share them with their friends, share them with their parents, and they can actually save it and take it home, okay, or send it home. All right, so resources. Resources I plan to use in the future may include Osmo kits, coding caterpillars, online curriculum through code.org, amongst other materials listed. These are the articles, the titles of the articles that I found that would be interesting to use and reference later. Okay, I found those through the databases. The books that I found through Destiny, through our catalog at my school. My first coding book, Coding in Your Home, Coding in Video Games. A lot of these things have connections to outside and real life careers. It's not explicitly toting careers as a rule, but I do like how it's trying to expose them to other things. And then certain websites. I found a lot of these websites through the Symbaloo on the Makerspace website. Okay. So we're going to move on to space. Okay, so there's my little map. I hand drew it. Computer lab is right here. It has a set of 10 computers. There's shelving and storage. There's 5 circular tables with 3 chairs each. And then there's a rug so they can spread out and test the coding caterpillars and things like that. Important considerations would be noise level. How much noise are they going to make for the people that are trying to study and read? Number of learners per table. Don't want it to be too crowded. Accessibility of materials, sharing of supplies, and cleanup and reset, obviously. Okay. Some helpful articles that I've cited here that helped guide my thinking, right here, that I found on the website. Storage. I really like these bins. They come in all sizes. The 6-quart seems to be good because I'm going to have a multitude of different supplies. I'm not going to have a giant bucket of just one type of thing. And they're easy to stack and easy to store. And they would go on shelves just like books would. And they're easy to label as well. And then the seating they would sit at those 5 tables in the middle, and then they could spread out on the rug with the caterpillars. But the hands-on activities would be at the tables, and separated out naturally, so that way we know which activity goes where. Okay. And then obviously the computer classroom is for coding their own games and making their own stuff through the websites. Now, funding and materials. Okay, 50 materials. I'm not going to read them all out, but here's a list of all 50 materials that I would think that I would need. Not all necessarily would go with this exact makerspace, but they would be great for adapting new makerspaces as well. 5 ways to pay. From what I can tell from my mentor librarian so far, PTA funding is a good way to do it. Coding club fundraising. If I make a club, then that's a good way to bring in fundraising opportunities. Library budget. Every department has their own budget. There's grants I could write, and then there's school bond money. Okay, I wouldn't lean too heavily on that, but there we go. And then the 5K budget. I have a list of really hot items here. Most of these are kits that come with software that goes along with them, and they have really good activities attached with them. And you can see the pricing and the quantity here, and the caterpillar starting kit with Osmos, Cubato Classic. There's tons of these things. I really like this card game. I think it would be a really fun thing to do, and it keeps them from having to use a screen all the time. Okay, moving on. All right, and then marketing. Oops, we're going back. Five ways to get the word out. There's Twitter, there's classroom bulletin boards, there's the PTA meetings, there's daily announcements. All of these are really good things. They're pretty obvious, but they're obvious for a reason. Twitter, social media, it spreads very quickly. School website, that's going to be where everybody goes. I'm going to have to hit that no matter what. Even if people don't go there, that's the most obvious place to put things. Classroom bulletin boards, daily announcements, they have to be quiet while they're listening. And then the PTA meetings, I've got a captive audience with parents and teachers. Okay. And then who is this for? This is for all age groups in the elementary setting. So from kindergarten, maybe even preschool, all the way to fifth grade. And it can be adapted depending on, obviously there's going to be more supervision needed for the kindergartners, first graders, and second. And the older kids will have more interest in the coding games and the board games during lunches and recess and things like that. So that's my general plan for the Makerspace. I feel like it's very flexible, and it could have a lot of possibilities for other age groups as well. And thank you.